Greetings and welcome to the latest garage update video. If I just move a little bit, perhaps you can see there's no Mini in my driveway anymore, and that is because it is gone already. It has died after very short ownership. I had the Mini for less than like 3 weeks, I think maybe even like 2 weeks or something. So essentially what happened was it started making some really weird noises, so I took it to Bavarian Mini for them to have a look at it, and they came back and said that there was like something like £1,200 worth of issues that needed rectifying. It was quite a big figure, so of course, because I had it for such a short amount of time, these issues were present whenever it was sold to me. The people that I bought it from actually said that they provided a 90-day warranty, so I felt okay. Contacted them and they were basically like, nope, we're not gonna pay for those things to be fixed. Clearly their warranty wasn't worth anything. Eventually I had to quote some consumer rights law, basically forcing them to take the car back and give me a full refund. So that is kind of the long and short of it. The Mini is gone, it is no more. I guess back to square one in terms of if I want to have a second car, but we'll see what happens in the future with that. So on top of that, very brief update on what is going on, or what is rather not going on with the Mini anymore. I'm going to do a couple of little bits and bobs with the RS. Alright, well the first thing that I'm playing with today is from the airbox, which you can see I have pulled out of the RS, and I salvaged some of and then used some extra of the gold wrap from Funk Motorsport that I had on the Mini, and I've used that to wrap a couple of bits of the intake for the RS. So this bit is one of the feeds that goes into the airbox down here at the bottom there, and then comes up and joins with this other one which takes the feed in, you know, from the front of the car. And then this is the bit that, let's see, what way around does it go? So this goes into the side of the airbox and then out and up over to the crossovers, so it goes in the side there where you can see the air filter is. So that's just going to be a nice little upgrade. This air feed is the one that is closest to the engine, so it's going to be the one that is most susceptible to heat, as is this piece. This is going to be right beside the engine as well, but now it's going to go straight from this into our Mountain Samco intake hose, which is of course made of heat resistant silicone, so that's all good. I may do more of this in the future, you know, jump onto Funk Motorsport and get some more of this gold stuff. It does look really cool, if anything, and I think it would help in general, maybe with more of the intake done. What do you think? Should I do some more gold wrapping? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That is this bit back in then. You can see that it just like slots in here. There's a lip on it that just sort of couples with the air filter, and then you line it up with a couple of posts either side. So here, and then it's just a couple of screws that go down in there to hold that in place. And that is this bit in. This bit doesn't like snap in really like hard. It does snap in to a degree. It's notched as well, so it can only go in one way, but then once it's in, you know, it's kind of a little bit on the loose side, but that's just kind of the way that it is. So if I flip it around, you can see just how cool this new gold wrap is going to be. Maybe I should jump on a Funk Motorsport and get some gold wrap for this intake bit. What do you think? Should I put any gold stuff along the side of the airbox? Let me know again what you think down below. So now I will just go and put this back in the car, and then I can show you what it looks like in the engine bay. There we are, that is the airbox reinstalled, and we now have our cool gold wrap on a couple of bits of the intake in the engine bay. So what do you think? Pretty cool, I think, and of course functional, as it will deflect heat. You can see the proximity of the engine to this pipe, and then of course here as well, and yeah, it just lifts it and looks real cool, like we were saying already, going from a matte black plastic to nice shiny gold. And that is one little task done for today. Let's move on to the next. Alright, next thing then, jumping around the back of the car. It might be difficult to see entirely, but my Mountain exhaust tips are a bit worse for wear. They are a bit tarnished, a bit dirty. Well, they're actually quite dirty on the inside, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove them, I'm going to clean them up, I'm going to polish them up with some new polish that I've got, and get them all looking nice and new again. Jumping down to do this, you can see this is the nut here on the clamp that is holding this tip on. It's quite rusty, which I'm not sure that's such a great thing, but anyway, I'm going to buzz that off, and that's a 12mm. Awesomely, that doesn't want to come off, so we're going to have to WD-40 that to loosen it. This is requiring a lot more effort than I would perhaps have wanted. The nut started to round off, which obviously wasn't so great, and you could, because it was seized so bad, you could see this other end of the V-band clamp just twisting. So if I had have clamped onto the nut and just ripped, then it would have bent the whole V-band clamp and it would have just destroyed it. So what I'm having to do is essentially hold this as tight as I can so that it doesn't move side to side, and I've actually moved over to 11mm, an 11mm spanner, which, because the edges are rounded, I can actually just about squeeze that on there as far in as I can, and then holding everything real tight and just twisting real slow, it is coming out one little bit at a time. So at this point I've managed to get my ratcheting end wedged onto the nut, so it's like it's not falling off, but it's on there, and I'm able to get this off finally, thankfully, without having to cut anything. Hey. Finally, but I bet you this is like probably seized on. Yep. So you can see that's like totally loose now, but the actual clamp itself is like stuck. Happy days. Well, I got it off, just had to tap it a couple of times with a rubber mallet and it eventually loosened. But yeah, I mean, the clamp itself seems reasonably okay. Maybe just a bit of gunk, which I could probably clean off from the threads of that part. But otherwise, you know, it's in reasonably okay shape. But that nut is just destroyed. It is just rusted away. So at the very least, I think I'm gonna have to get a new nut to go onto this, if not just buy new clamps entirely. I mean, it's a real pain. Like, I mean, I've only had that exhaust for like, what, like in the region of a year, so for it to have a part that's rusted away essentially is pretty bad actually. Like, I don't know what Mountain were thinking in terms of, you know, I'm doing this because you know, we're coming out of winter into summer, so I'm just getting things nicely cleaned up, and this looks par for the course as you might expect stainless steel to look after that. But this, which is still stuck in my spanner here, this kind of makes me think that this nut is like some kind of mild steel or something, like, you know, that's more susceptible to corrosion. So I mean, that seems like a bit of a crappy choice, but it is what it is. So here is that tip anyway. Again, I mean, it looks par for the course for stainless steel, which of course it is, and that's fine. It just needs, you know, cleaning up essentially. But yeah, crappy nuts on that clamp from Mountain, because the other one is exactly the same. I'm gonna have to go and, you know, painfully remove it as well. But yeah, what do you think about that? Let me know down below. So yeah, I just got the other tip off and it was the exact same thing, having to wedge an 11mm on there and eventually getting it off. But yeah, this one maybe even a little bit more rusty than the other one. You can see maybe a lot of the bits like just crumbling. It's crumbling off the edges of the nut there. So that's not so great, but again, the tip itself is in, you know, par for the course condition after a harsh winter for stainless steel. I really doubt if these nuts are the appropriate type of steel. So because I don't think, I'll have a wee look around in the garage, but I don't think I have any of the appropriate size nuts to go on here. So what I'm gonna have to do is probably clean these up, hopefully to a degree where they are at least usable for a short term, whilst I go and purchase some new ones. But yeah, get them cleaned up and see what we can do. So what I'm doing then is I've got one of the nuts, just holding it with some little pliers, and then I have my rotary tool here. I just got this wire end just to try and get that rust off. So yeah, that is working. It's taking the rust off there. I just got to keep going and then see afterwards, you know, how destroyed the actual nut is. I mean, I'm kind of hopeful that it's still going to be usable. Like, the threads on the inside seem, you know, reasonably okay. Yeah, I just need to finish up cleaning this rust off and then we'll see where we are at. So yeah, I mean that actually cleaned up pretty good, and the benefit of using that like little wire rotary polishing thing is that I was able to put that right up in the middle and really clean the threads off, and the threads actually look pretty bang on, which is a good thing as far as using this nut. So yeah, I mean, I think I will be able to use this, at least as I was saying, in the short term until I get some nice new ones. But yeah, I don't think I should really have to be doing this kind of refurbishment after only like a year, but I guess it is what it is. Alright, so I've just done the threads on one clamp here. So we've gone from something like that on the right, all cruddy and sort of bits of rust in there, to this. Looking much closer to what it was like whenever it was new, a lot better, all that crud removed. And again, a little bit of a side-by-side comparison from crud to no crud. So I think the clamps are pretty much okay, it's just those nuts I don't really trust. Alright then, so I have the tips cleaned up pretty decently, so I just want to give them a bit of a polish up just to get them looking real nice, and for that I am going to use Carbon Collective Luster Metal Polish. I'm also going to utilize this foam cone, just mainly for doing like the inside, just because that's a difficult bit and it's probably the most in need part of the tips. So yeah, just going to get that done now, get them nice and shiny. Well, that's the first pass, and it's done a very good job. I mean, the inside is looking very good. Just a few wee bits that I didn't get in that first pass, so I will just do another pass. Word to the wise though, it's a little bit more liquidy than I would be used to in a metal polish, and it did kind of splatter all over the place initially. But yeah, I mean, it is doing a pretty nice job, so gonna do a second pass on this, and then I will get the other one polished up, and that will be that done. There we go then, that is both tips polished up real nice, lovely and shiny, got all that gunk and black sooty stuff and any notion of surface rust from the winter off of there, so looking good. At this point then, I'm just going to add a bit of protection using G-Technic Wheel Armor C5. I've shown you that process before, so I'll just blast right through that and get these tips nice and protected and then get them back on the car. There we go, nice. Well, there we go, that is your latest garage update. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do like, share and subscribe for more content to come very soon. Thank you once again. Goodbye.